So good morning. Today is the 20th of Tevis, the 20th of January. It's the yortzeit of the Rambam, the yortzeit of the Bir Yaakov, the Baba Sali's great-grandfather. And it is also the day that we're starting a new mitzvah. Now, in the order of the book, for whatever reason, the next mitzvah after Gida Nasha is tzitzis. But why? It says in the tzitzis, if you look at it, page Yudalid, it says in parentheses, Shin Pei Vav, meaning it's the 386th mitzvah. So how do we jump from 3 to 386?
You mean this is an order?
It's not an order.
No. Okay.
The next mitzvah in order is mitzvat Kiddush HaChodesh. It's to sanctify the new moon. And there it says, Kadesh Chodeshim Dalid. This is the fourth mitzvah in the Torah, because it's this is where the Torah should have started, says Rashi, in the first Rashi, that and this is where the Medrash Halacha starts. Medrash Halacha, we call Braita de Rabbi Ishmael, or the Mechilta.
Yeah, you're talking about the Mechilta. Okay, yeah.
The Mechilta starts with Chodesh Hazeh Lachem, Rosh Chodeshim. This month is for you, the first of all months. And that's in next week's Parsha. But I don't know. I don't think we're going to finish it. It's also just 2 chapters, but I don't think that we'll be able to finish it before the end of Bo, let's say. But let's try. Let's see how far we get. So it's page Samech Tet Amud Aleph.
So we're doing what?
So we're doing Kiddush HaChodesh.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So to understand Kiddush HaChodesh, one of the main topics in sanctifying the moon is this first verse that it says, "Shenemar HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Rosh Chodeshim." So this month is for you, the first of all months. What does the Gemara learn from this? Uva Perush, says the Tzemach Tzedek, the Gemara learned from this, Edut Zot Tehem Mesura Lachem, that this testimony that the new moon has shown up, you can see it in the sky, it is given to you. Who's you? Moshe and Aaron, right? Moshe and Aaron are the ones who the parsha starts by the Ber Hashem el Moshe vel Aaron lemor, Be'eretz Mitzrayim lemor, I think. So Hashem speaks to Moses and Aaron. He says, and this mitzvah is for you. What do you mean for you? כלומר שמצווה זו אינה מסורה לכל איש ואיש כמו שבת בראשית. Meaning that this mitzvah is not the responsibility of every individual, as Shabbos Bereshis is. Shabbos Bereshis is the way that we call in the Gemara the mitzvah of keeping Shabbos. Shabbos Bereshis means keeping Shabbos. That's why it was so simple to the Rebbe when people started saying that maybe the first chapter of Bereshis is not Pshat. They said, how can you say that? I mean, all the halachos, everything that we do with Shabbos, is called Shabbos Bereshis in the Gemara. Why? Because we learn it from the first Shabbos. How can you say the first Shabbos wasn't after 7 days, after 6 days, the 7th day? You can't take it out of the Pshat. Not to mention there's many other reasons why you can't take it out of Shabbos. But even just simple learning, you learn. It's always called Shabbos Bereshis. So Shabbos Bereshis, keeping Shabbos, that's given the responsibility to each individual. But this mitzvah, the first mitzvah that's given to Klal Yisrael, it's very nice that it's given to Klal Yisrael. It's not given to one person. Who's it given to? To the leaders of the generation, Lachem. So the Gemara says, Lachem, that it should be to people like you. Okay, I don't know if I copied the language here. No. But Lachem lichshechmotchem, to those that are like you. So who's responsible for sanctifying the new moon? The Sanhedrin. The ones that are like Moshe. Ken, adumim lach. What?
It's mean as the mitzvahs is not for everyone.
Oh, there's mitzvahs for the Melech, there's mitzvahs for the Kohen, there's mitzvahs for the Levi. There's a whole discussion. So, if I can't perform everything, how can I be Yotzei 613 mitzvahs? In being part of Klal Yisrael, I do everything, but not everyone is responsible for everything, in the same way. So there's a very interesting thing right away when you mentioned this. I thought that the word lachem, if we permute the letters, it becomes melech. It's very interesting. The Chazal learned from this many things from this lachem. What do they say? They say, Man malchei rabbanan. Who are the kings? The sages. What does it mean that they're the sages? That they're entrusted with sanctifying the new moon. This is the mitzvah. The first mitzvah, okay, is to sanctify the new moon. And that's the mitzvah of the sages. And this is the mitzvah that gives them, as we'll see, dominion over nature. It gives them the ability to rule nature. That's what it means that they're the kings. They're the kings even of nature. How are they the kings of nature? So the Rebbe brought many examples over the years. We'll get into them later. But the main thing that comes out of this is the mitzvah of smicha. And so this mitzvah, it's intrinsically related to smicha. Smicha means ordination. We don't have ordination today.
Because Hashem, in a sense, made ordination to Moshe.
Right. So he gave it to Moshe. He said, to those that are like you, how do they become like me? Through ordination.
Choosing.
Right. And this ties into our previous mitzvah, Gida Nashe, because we said that the whole thing of Gida Nashe is that even though Moshe was able and Aaron were able to give their prophecy over to the people in their generation, until Samuel, there was no real prophecy. There was no new prophecy. Samuel had to re-originate. He had to restart prophecy. There's a whole thing. That's what we learned in the previous. And what's the connection here? The connection is very interesting. That the previous mitzvah was given to Yaakov. Right? Gida Nashe, number 3, the third mitzvah in the Torah, was given to Yaakov. The fourth mitzvah is given to Moshe specifically, Moshe and Aaron, but to Moshe specifically. What's the connection between Yaakov and Moshe? So we have a very important saying in the Zohar. Again, Yaakov milevar, Moshe milego. That Yaakov is the exterior, and Moses is the interior. So in a sense, this is, and we'll see that it is, that this mitzvah is like the pnimi understanding of Gida Nashe. You don't
Nashe is the exterior.
Right. That's the exterior. Yeah. And we'll see that Gida Nashe was the exterior of the Netzach. This will be the interior of the Netzach. Because what did we say about Netzach? We said Netzach is passing it down. Okay? Chinuch, being able. So there's a word we called chinuch, lachnoch et hamizbeach, chanukat hamizbeach, that we don't ordain the altar, but we consecrate it.
It's from the same.
Same idea.
Chinuch,
chinuch and chanicha and chanukat hamizbeach, they're all the same word. Chanukah is also. That's why we started in the Chanukah, Gida Nashe, if you remember. So this netzach is passing it down. So there's two ways of passing it down. There's the passing it down like the Gida Nashe, which is exterior, which is to everyone the same. And there's also this mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh. So we'll see that this is the interior of Netzach, and it's Moshe and Aaron passing down their ordination from Hashem. It's a whole new thing. Now, what's the purpose of Kiddush HaChodesh? So right away we'll see the word Chodesh is very strange in Hebrew. Because what does Chodesh mean? So people say it means month, but in English you say moon. Right? That's the Chodesh, the month, the moon. Moon comes from month, I guess. Month comes from moon. I don't know which is which. They both come from some Nordic god. Okay, they're both Monday. Monday is also from moon. Why is it on Monday? Like today, we're starting Monday, so it's the moon day. It's the day to start the Kiddush HaChodesh. But what's this? I don't remember even which. But it's the Malchus. Again, the moon is always Malchus. So what does the Malchus do? The Malchus renews. Okay? It renews. Unlike the sun, which is the same all the time, the moon goes through phases, and then it disappears, and it reappears. When it reappears, we call it it's born again. So we consecrate this new birth. Why is it called Chodesh? What is that meant to impress on us? The newness of it. Okay. The Chodesh means Chadash, new. The sun means Shana, Shoneh, it's to repeat, it's a cycle. Because it's always the same.
The Sunday repeats.
The Sunday repeats, but Monday's new. In English doesn't work so well. But in Hebrew, that's very surprising. That Dafka, the moon, is what is what is new all the time. So this mitzvah is also what gives you the feeling of we'll see a new understanding. Every time there's a Rosh Chodesh, so we also take part in it. How do we take part in it? So in olden times, how did they take part in it? The first Farbrengens were on Rosh Chodesh. Because the Chachamim saw that people weren't coming to give testimony that they saw the new moon. So they had a takana that they had a Farbrengen, big Farbrengen, every Rosh Chodesh. That's where Farbrengen started from. And so many people would come to the Mikdash to participate in the Farbrengen. There were probably a few that also saw the new moon on their way. It was a big deal. It was a big deal back then. It's also Rosh Hashanah is like that also. So it's a day of we participate in it. All of us participate. So back then they participated by being in the Farbrengen. Today we participate by saying the Birkat HaLevana. Shatidim litchadesh kmota. That we are destined to renew like it, like the new moon. So this is about the pnimius of Netzach. The pnimius of Netzach is that even though you're continuing the heritage, in every generation it's something new. B'pnimius, it's something new. Interiorly, it's something new. Okay, so let's see the continuation. We have a couple more minutes. כלומר שמצווה זו אינה מסורה לכל איש ואיש כמו שבת בראשית, שכל איש ימנה 6 ימים וישבות בשביעי. So Shabbos, to keep Shabbos, every person counts 6 days himself, and then on the 7th day he rests. מה שאין כן בקביעת החודש. It's not the same thing when determining the new moon. שלא נאמר כשיראה כל איש ואיש גם כן את הלבנה, אז או ימנה על פי החשבון ויקבע ראש חודש, שאם כן לא עשה כלום, לא עשה ולא כלום. So the mitzvah here is not for every person to go look and see if he sees the new moon, or to count 28 days and then make the 29th or 30th Rosh Chodesh. Because if a person decides to do this, he hasn't done anything. וחידושו אינו ראש חודש, וחודשו אינו ראש חודש, and his month is not Rosh Chodesh. We won't call it Rosh Chodesh if he does it privately. והמועד שנקבע על פי חשבונו אינו מועד, ומותר לאכול חמץ בפסח של חשבונו וכולי. And if he decides that now is the new moon of Nisan, and according to that, a person in his driveway, he decides this is my calendar. I'm going to make my own calendar, and he decides that this is the first day of Nisan, and 14 days later it's Pesach. So we say no. On his Pesach you can eat as much leavened dough as you want. It's not Pesach. Again, if it turned out that he did it right. Correctly, yes. But we are assuming that someone who is on a desert island, and it doesn't mean anything. He doesn't have a calendar. Someone on a desert island would not have a calendar. He wouldn't be able to fulfill many of the mitzvot. אבל מצווה זו לא יעשו לעולם אלא בית דין של 3 הסמוך בארץ ישראל. But rather this mitzvah is only the responsibility of the Beis Din, of the court, a court of at least 3, hasamuch, and they have to be ordained, smuchin, and they have to be in Eretz Yisrael. והסמיכות ידוע שהוא איש מפי איש עד משה רבינו עליו השלום. And smicha, ordination, we know, is one from the other all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu. So we said this is also the extension of Moshe. This is the netzach of Moshe. Okay, so that's the way it's according to Torah. But we don't have this today. We don't have the ordination, which is also why we don't have the new moon. In order to sanctify the new moon, it's not enough for 10 people to go out into the night and then and see the new moon and then decide that it's in the new month. You have to be ordained and you have to be in the land of Israel.
There's a lot of reasons why we withheld the actual.
That's the only reason. The
moment the Samaria, the fires and there's a whole story.
No, that's just to publicize it. But the mitzvah itself was the only reason. The only reason because there was no more ordination.
Really?
And there were ordained people who were left over and did it in Chutz La'aretz. Even though you're supposed to do it in Eretz Yisrael, that was a Horaz Shah. It's called it's a special case. Okay, so let's end here, and tomorrow we'll see more, and we'll start seeing the Rambam. I want for let's just read one thing from the Rambam, since it's your side. At least one of the members of the Supreme Sanhedrin, a minor Sanhedrin, meaning a 3, or a minor Sanhedrin is 23, or a court of 3 must have received smicha, ordination, from a teacher himself who had been given smicha. Okay. So our teacher Moses ordained Joshua by placing his hands upon him, as Numbers states, and he placed his hands upon him and commanded him. So we'll see the difference between the hands and the feet later.
Smicha is the main, is the reason.
Smicha is the reason we don't do Kiddush HaChodesh.
Good,